How dare you run off without telling your mother? Do you have any idea of the sorrow you've caused her? Do you care, you ungrateful, overdressed, overreaching little chit? Olindia drew breath only briefly. And where did you get your grubby little hands on one of Lady Shadow's gowns? Please, miss, I do not give you leave to answer, wench. Kindly keep yourself in silence until I bid you speak. Get that gown off right now, and carefully, mind. Olindia fairly shortened her indignation. Behind her she heard a choked sob and then running feet. She turned to watch Aelith's mother flee through the door, weeping, and then turned back and hands on hip to confront the little upstart again. Aelith stared at the wild-eyed tears coursing down her cheeks. See what you've done to your mother? Oh, it'll be a fair day's use hence before she dares to show her face in the dell again. She may well starve somewhere, unable to find work, and with it buy coin to eat, and all because of you, you little tramp. Aspiring to bewitch the Lord of Dare with your smiles and your little ways? Oh yes, I've no doubt about what you're after, and what you'll do to get it. Indeed, my little lady. Hold! In the doorway stood Lord Morgan himself, sword in hand, eyes blazing. Stand away from the lady! On the Shadowland, Olindia, or you'll be gone from my hands late this night and forevermore. Olindia whirled around to face him, face white, her eyes lidded in fury. My lord, if your lady knew that I had healed one under my care, who was hurt by one acting in my name, that I will not see her hurt by one whose tongue is so sharp she's risking cutting her own backside with it, I'll hear no more from you, Olindia, except the words, yes, lord. And if I will not hear them of your will, I'll enjoy your silence by means of your enforced removal. Morgrim's eyes burned into hers as he sheathed his sword with savage strength. Which will it be? A red flush rose slowly across the Undershadowling's face, and her hot gaze waved and fell to the floor. A moment later she followed it to her knees. I'm sorry, my lord, she muttered. I've overstepped myself. Yes, Morgrim agreed simply. Look at me, Olindia. There was silence for several breaths. Morgrim counted them in a rapid rise and fall of the Undershadowling's bosom. Then her lashes flickered. She looked up at him. Tears glimmered in her eyes, unshed, but she held her head proudly and met his gaze. We'll speak no more of this, Olindia. Consider it forgotten, Morgrim said very quietly. So long as you'll work no ill against me, Aelith or Aelith's mother. We all choose ill betimes. Work me some good now by apologizing to Aelith. Olindia cast one glance at the sniffling girl and burst into tears. Aelith half rose, hands out to her, and broke into sobs herself. Morgrim stood in the center of the room, stared at the ceiling. Gods answer me, he thought. Why does it all have to be so noisy? Then he sighed, thought of something he'd seen Elminster do, and long ago stepped forward to grasp both women by the shoulders and guide them firmly into each other's arms. They embraced, weeping uncontrollably. Then he went to the open door and looked out. The frightened eyes of Delmare, who stood uncertainly in the corridor, sword half drawn, looked back at him. Morgrim stared at him incredulously for a moment and then suddenly grinned. The gods have answered, he said. Lad, know you Aelith's mother? She who came out this door weeping a few breaths back. Go and fetch her, as nicely as you can, and bring her back here. And run! Delmare stumbled along through the trees carefully, a sputtering torch in one hand and a bundle of Aelith's own clothes, still mud-spattered, held protectively in the other. Ahead of him in the night, Aelith, a pale wisp in her gown, and her mother on the arm of Lord Morgrim, walked down the path to the mill. I'm sorry, Morgrim said gently. I don't like all the noise and the prying eyes and the smoke of the hall either. It's cooler and quieter here. Yes, lord, Aelith and her mother answered as one. Morgrim sighed, led now way on around a muddy path in the path, and stopped astonished. Now what befalls? He breathed, hands going to the sword rather wearily. A pale amber radiance was growing from nothingness before his eyes, clinging to a large rock beside the trail and growing brighter. They all came to a cautious halt in the darkness and watched. A wine decanter suddenly appeared out of the empty air above the rock and settled gently down to rest. An instant later it was followed by another, and a steaming platter of roast full flounder, several knives and forks, and bearded, plain-robed figure of Elminster the Sage, smoking pipe in his hand. There you are, Elminster said calmly, waving them towards. Come on, the lot of you. I've heard you had enough of the festival crowds and their wagging tongues, but I thought you'd grow tired of the good food and might more slowly. You thought rightly, Morgan agreed, with a sudden delighted laugh. The old mage stared at the content to his hands. Of course, the Lord of Shadowdale laughed helplessly, breaking only for an instant as glass goblets began to appear mid-air, one after another, and seek his hand insistently. Well met, Jalira, Elminster added gravely. It's been a fair while, hasn't it? It has indeed, old mage, Ayla's mother agreed calmly. Ayla turned to stare at her. Jalira only winked. Ayla looked at Elminster. He smiled and winked too. My thanks for finding what's left of the lost blade of Lord Omri, he said to her, drawing that old sword hilt from the hidden place among his robes. I'd been looking for that. He puffed at his pipe to keep it from going out and added, Eat up, lass. When you're done eating, a few spells can give you armies of attacking Zents to defeat. If you'd like to play it, one being one of the knights for a change. Alice looked at him, face suddenly red. Oh, but I couldn't, she murmured. Why not? Elminster asked, his eyebrows rising. 'Tis ease itself. Just ask Morgan here or any of the knights. They play it being the knights every day. So that's how you do it, said Delmare, remembering teacups. Of course, said the old mage innocently. Didn't you know?